The Holy One, blessed be He. Welcome to Beit Yisrael International's Voice of Torah Podcast, where the eternal light of Torah shines forth to the nations. I am Gadi Ephraim, and it's my privilege and honor to guide you on today's journey into the profound teachings of Parashat Vayeshev 5785. Today, we explore the compelling theme, Joseph's dreams and the challenges within his family, with our host agents Abraham and Sarah. This portion is rich with layers of meaning, offering us profound insights into the tension, dreams, and divine providence that shape not just Joseph's journey, but the collective destiny of Israel. Joseph's life is the foreshadowing of Mashiach ben Yosef, the suffering servant whose mission involves 1. Mesirus Nefesh, self-sacrifice and enduring trials for the sake of the Israel people. 2. Tikkun, rectifying divisions, even those caused by sinat chinam, baseless hatred. 3. Ultimate triumph, rising to leadership and preparing the way for Mashiach ben David. Thank you for joining us on Voice of Torah. Stay blessed, and may the light of Torah continue to guide your path.
Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today, really deep. We're going to explore the mystical connection between Jacob and Joseph.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be fascinating.
Yeah. We're looking at this through the lens of Jewish mystical texts, so get ready for some pretty amazing insights.
Right. Beyond the surface level biblical stories we're all familiar with.
Exactly. And to guide us, we've got excerpts from commentary from Beit Yisrael International and Gadi Ephraim's notes. Just a treasure trove of information here.
I know. I love it. So much depth to uncover.
Okay, so one of the first things that struck me, like right off the bat, is how the Torah introduces this whole story. These are the generations of Jacob, Joseph. What do you make of that?
It's so powerful, that phrase, it's not just about a family tree. The sages see it as hinting at something much, much deeper, like a spiritual inheritance.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's not just Joseph carrying on the family name. It's
like he's carrying forward Jacob's mission, but on a spiritual level.
Wow. And then the Zohar, that key text in Jewish mysticism, it actually describes Joseph as the exact image of Jacob, like both physically and spiritually.
It's mind-blowing, right? Like a mirror image, but on this cosmic scale. And, well, it makes sense if you think about it. Jacob, he represents divine harmony, that perfect balance in the spiritual realms. In Kabbalah, we call that Tiferet.
Tiferet. Okay,
Yeah.
So walk me through this.
So we have Jacob embodying this Tiferet, right? And then Joseph takes that harmony and he brings it down to earth, into the physical world.
Like he's grounding it, making it real.
Precisely. He becomes this bridge between the spiritual ideals and, well, the reality of our world.
So he's not just the son. He's the
Tzaddik, the righteous one. That's what makes this relationship so fascinating. It goes so far beyond just a typical father-son dynamic.
Absolutely. And I think this is where a lot of us were probably wondering, okay, but what does this have to do with me? Like, this is a cool story, but is there something we can actually take away from this connection?
Oh, absolutely. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
This whole idea of transmitting spiritual purpose, it's not limited to these, biblical figures. It suggests that we all inherit something from those who came before us, something we can carry forward.
You mean like family traditions and values?
Yes. But even beyond that, think about our communities, our cultures, all the people and ideas that have shaped us. We're all part of this chain, receiving and passing on these intangible things.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. And if we look back at Jacob and Joseph, Joseph's role during the famine, that's a perfect example of this, right? He steps up and provides for everyone.
Exactly. And it's not just physical sustenance he's providing, it's spiritual sustenance too. He's ensuring the survival of Jacob's family, their entire mission.
Wow.
It's all connected.
It is. And the Zohar, it even uses this powerful image to describe Joseph in the chariot like Jacob. It's reinforcing this idea of their unity, working together to fulfill a larger purpose.
Okay, I love a good visual. Can you paint that picture for me? Imagine Jacob as the sun, radiating divine light, right? And Joseph, he's like the moon, reflecting that light back down to earth, making it visible for us.
I love that. So they're working in tandem, making sure that divine light reaches us.
Right. But it's not just about keeping people alive, keeping the world going. There's more to it. It's about preserving the
The what?
The Shekinah.
Okay, now you've lost me. What's the Shekinah?
It's the divine presence, God's indwelling in the material world. Think of it like a divine spark within each of us that connects us to something bigger.
Ooh, I like that. That makes sense.
And Joseph's actions, especially his choice to, resist temptation with Potiphar's wife, that shows his dedication to protecting that spark, keeping that connection alive.
That's deep. So he's consciously choosing good, even when it's hard. Like he's making sure that connection to the divine stays strong.
Exactly. And that idea of resisting temptation, it's not just an ancient concept. It's something we all face every day, isn't it? We all have those moments where we have to choose between what's easy and what's right.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see how this ancient story, it really does connect to our lives. We've covered so much ground already. It's incredible how much depth there is to this connection between Jacob and Joseph.
Yeah, it's amazing. We've just scratched the surface, but we've already learned so much about their spiritual connection, their purpose, and how those ancient ideas, they can still resonate with us today.
Definitely. But there's still so much to explore. Like, how did Joseph actually bring that spiritual purpose into the real world? What were some of the specific things he did? What challenges did he face? We'll dive into all of that and more when we come back.
So we were discussing how Joseph actually lived out that spiritual purpose, like in a practical sense.
Yeah, his actions during that famine, it's a classic example.
Right. He saves the world, basically. But the interesting thing is he doesn't just react to the crisis,
He's not just handing out food.
Exactly. He creates a whole system.
So he's thinking long term.
Absolutely. He's all about sustainability, managing resources wisely, making sure everyone has what they need, not just for survival, but to thrive.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like so relevant even today, right?
Yeah.
Like we talk about sustainability constantly.
Yeah, it's like he was ahead of his time. And another thing, he's in this incredibly powerful position, right? But he doesn't abuse it at all.
That's so true.
Yeah,
He could have easily taken advantage of this situation.
absolutely. But he chooses to use his power for good, ensuring justice, treating everyone fairly, lifting people up.
He's really embodying those values we were talking about earlier, compassion, righteousness, putting them in action in a real way.
And creating a ripple effect. It's not just about him. His actions impact everyone around him. Makes you think, doesn't it?
For sure. About the choices we make every day and how they might affect others.
Exactly. But going back to something we touched on earlier about inheriting a spiritual purpose.
Yes. How do we actually figure out what that is for each of us? Like, where do we start?
Remember those threads we talked about? Think about the stories, traditions, values, even struggles you've inherited from your family, your community, your culture.
Oh, okay. I see. Those are like clues.
They are.
Yeah.
They point to what matters, what people before you cared about poured their energy into.
Like a treasure hunt almost. We have to search for the patterns, the things that resonate with us.
He never lost sight of it. Even in those challenges, his commitment to bringing divine harmony into the world never wavered.
That's pretty inspiring. So no matter what we're going through, we can draw strength from knowing we're part of something bigger, something that connects us to those who came before us and those who will come after.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? And by staying true to those values, by expressing our unique purpose, we become part of that ongoing story.
This whole idea of connection, that's what really resonates with me. We're talking about Joseph providing for everyone during the famine, the father-son relationship in Jewish thought.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
We've got some really amazing sources to help guide us here, teachings from Beit Yisrael International, and then some insights from Gadi Ephraim,
Right.
both drawing on Talmudic wisdom, Chassidut, Kabbalah, the whole works. So yeah, get ready to uncover some pretty profound insights. I think we're going to touch on identity, responsibility, maybe even divine purpose.
It's so interesting how this topic, it really goes beyond just like your typical understanding of family.
Right.
It impacts generations, and it even touches upon, our relationship with the divine.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. I'm kind of intrigued by this Talmudic idea of brakare davua. So like the son is the leg of his father.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that?
Brakare davua, it's such a powerful image, right?
Yeah.
It's this metaphor that the Talmud uses to really show just how interconnected a father and son are. Like imagine it, the son is literally the leg that allows the father to stand tall.
Wow. So it's not just that they're related, they're like fundamentally bound together.
Exactly, yeah. And this is where it gets even more fascinating. The Talmud even suggests that the actions of a son, especially his good deeds and, commitment to Torah learning, that can actually elevate his father.
Wow.
Even retroactively.
It's like a ripple effect across generations.
Exactly.
Our actions today could impact like our ancestors.
Yes, precisely. And Gadi Ephraim, he takes this idea a step further. He suggests that this connection, it even goes beyond like just biological ties. It reflects the bond between the Jewish people and God.
Yeah.
We as a nation are like sons to the Divine Father.
That is a very profound thought. So in a sense, like our actions as individuals, they can have an impact on the spiritual standing of the entire Jewish people.
Absolutely. It's powerful stuff. And it actually resonates really nicely with the teachings of the Alter Rebbe in the Tanya,
Okay.
where he also uses the father-son relationship to explain the connection between the Jewish soul and God.
Okay, I'm not super familiar with the Tanya. Can you break that down a little for me and for anyone listening?
Sure. So the Tanya is, it's a foundational text of Shabbat Chassidut. It was written by Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, who's known as the Alter Rebbe.
Okay.
And in it, he has this beautiful analogy. Just as a child originates from the essence of the father, right? But then grows into an independent being, each Jewish soul, it comes from this divine essence, but it keeps its own, unique individuality.
So we carry that divine spark, but we're still like our own unique selves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Beit Yisrael International, they emphasize this point. They say it underscores the inherent holiness of every single Jewish person. It doesn't matter what their actions are or their level of observance. We're all connected to the divine, just like a child to their father.
That's powerful. This is already kind of blowing my mind, and we're just getting started.
I know, right? And there's so much more to explore. From here, we can delve into the teachings of Rebbe Nachman of Breslov. He's a prominent Chassidic figure known for his mystical teachings.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that. How does Rebbe Nachman kind of add to this this whole understanding of this father-son dynamic?
Well, he offers a fascinating interpretation of the Evan of Israel. That's the stone of Israel mentioned in Genesis.
Uh-huh.
He sees Evan as a composite of Av, which is father, and Ben, which is son.
Oh, wow.
Really cleverly highlighting this inseparable connection.
Okay.
And the continuity of divine wisdom being passed down through the generations.
So the stone represents like that unbreakable bond, that legacy that flows from father to son.
Exactly. Yeah, it speaks to the essence of the transmission of knowledge and wisdom from one generation to the next. And Gadi Ephraim connects this really beautifully to the role of the Tzaddik, the righteous leader in the Jewish community.
Okay, let me guess. The Tzaddik acts as a spiritual father, guiding the community toward like their divine potential.
You got it. He's a source of wisdom and inspiration, helping us to connect to our own inner spark and to realize our unique purpose in this world.
Okay, I'm already starting to see how all of these like seemingly separate ideas are starting to like weave together into like a really beautiful tapestry.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it's getting pretty complex.
It is. It is, right? But that's the beauty of Jewish thought. It invites us to go deeper,
Yeah.
to really uncover the hidden layers of meaning. And believe it or not, we haven't even touched on Kabbalah yet.
Oh, boy. And how does Kabbalah contribute to our understanding of the father-son connection?
Well, Kabbalah takes it to a whole new cosmic level. We'll have to unpack that in our next segment.
I can't wait. This is getting really good.
So you ready to dive into Kabbalah?
Yeah, let's do it. Take it to that cosmic level.
Okay. So Kabbalah, it sees this whole father-son relationship as like a representation of how divine energy flows through the Sephiro.
Okay, Sephiro. Break that down for me, and maybe for some of our listeners who haven't heard that term before.
Sure. So think of the Sephiro as like emanations or attributes of God, like channels almost, through which the divine energy flows, like from the infinite realm of God into the finite realm of creation. So it's a very complex system.
Right.
But for our purposes, wisdom as like the father, and then da'at, which is knowledge, as the son.
So wisdom kind of gives birth to knowledge.
Yeah, in a way. It's like the father's potential is being manifested and actualized in the son.
Right.
The Arizal, who was a prominent Kabbalist, he taught that this bond, it reflects this transmission of divine light from like the infinite source of wisdom to its expression in the world through knowledge, through action.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how this connects. How the son becomes this vessel for the father's potential, like in those earlier examples.
Exactly.
But how does this apply to us? We're not all like Kabbalah's decoding the secrets of the universe?
Right. That's a great question. And that's actually where it gets really powerful.
Why?
Think about it this way. Just as a son can elevate his father's legacy through his actions,
Yeah.
we can do the same for our ancestors, for the Jewish people as a whole.
We're all part of that chain,
Yeah.
that continuity, this
Yeah.
flow of divine light.
Exactly. And even though we might feel separate, we're all, inherently connected to that divine source. Just like that unbreakable bond between a father and a son.
Right.
Ooh.
Right. So even if someone like feels disconnected from their family history or their heritage, they're still a part of this bigger picture.
Absolutely. It's all about recognizing that divine spark within each of us and knowing that we have the power to contribute to something so much greater than just ourselves.
Wow. What about the Tzaddik? How does he fit into all this?
Well, remember, the Tzaddik, he's like that spiritual father,
Right.
guiding us toward our own potential. He helps us tap into that spark, that divine spark, and to find our unique way to contribute to the world.
So seeking out guidance, mentorship, from those who have come before us, that can help us, on our own spiritual journeys.
Precisely. It's about, taking the legacy of those who have walked the path before us and allowing their wisdom to kind of light up our own way.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
It's like we took this simple concept, the father-son relationship, and uncovered all these layers of meaning.
Yeah.
From the Talmud to Chassidut to Kabbalah.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? And the thing is, there's still so much more to explore. But for now, let's take a minute to just think about what we've learned. What stands out to you the most?
Well, for me, it's that realization that our actions, they have such far-reaching implications.
Yeah.
It's not just about ourselves. It's about, honoring the legacy of our ancestors and contributing to that spiritual elevation of the Jewish people.
It is. It's such a powerful reminder. And it ties back into that idea, that core concept of the son being an extension of the father.
Yeah.
Just, carrying forward his legacy.
Right. And the whole idea that we're all like connected to this divine source, to this flow of wisdom and light.
Yeah.
That's really inspiring.
It is. It reminds us that we're never truly alone. You know, we've got this incredible lineage behind us, and we have the potential to impact the world in such profound ways.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive,
Sure.
is there one question that you would leave our listener with? Something for them to think about as they go about their day?
I think the most important question is how can you apply these concepts to your own life?
Right.
How can you honor your lineage? How can you, nurture your own divine spark and find your unique way to contribute to the world?
It's about taking these ancient teachings and making them relevant.
Exactly. It's about finding that personal connection to these timeless truths, and letting them guide us on our individual journeys.
Beautiful. Of Mashiach ben Yosef.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's maybe not as familiar as the Mashiach ben David, the one everybody kind of knows.
Right.
But in Jewish mystical thought, it's a really, really crucial piece of the puzzle. And we've got some amazing source material for this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from Beit Yisrael International and Gadi Frame.
Oh, fantastic.
And they really dig deep into all the classic sources like the Midrash and the Zohar,
Right.
writings of the sages, all that good stuff, to unpack this idea of who or what is this Mashiach ben Yosef.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not necessarily talking about a specific person, like waiting for this one dude.
Oh, I see.
It's more like a mission, like an archetype almost.
Yeah, like a role that somebody could step into.
Exactly. It's like this blueprint for action, for how to engage with the forces of redemption.
So it's less about, sitting around waiting for this guy to show up and more about understanding what the role is all about.
Exactly. And the key to understanding that role is the story of Joseph.
Oh.
Yosef HaTzaddik from the Torah.
Sure.
There are these deep parallels between Joseph's life and the mission of Mashiach ben Yosef.
Okay, so, right, I remember the story of Joseph being sold into slavery by his brothers, right? He ends up in Egypt, rises to power, saves his family from famine, all that.
Yeah.
But what connections are we seeing here with Mashiach ben Yosef?
Well, think about it. Joseph endured suffering, right? He was misunderstood. He even sacrificed his own comfort,
Yeah, it was for the greater good.
For the greater good, exactly. And these themes, they resonate really strongly with the nature of Mashiach ben Yosef's mission. This messianic energy, it operates in this hidden way. It's often misunderstood, and it demands a certain level of self-sacrifice.
You're making me think about that part where Jacob declares that Joseph is alive.
Oh, yeah.
Even though everybody else thought he was dead.
Right.
Isn't there something symbolic there about how this messianic role, it endures, even when it seems hidden or lost?
Absolutely. It speaks to that enduring nature of this mission. This idea that this energy is always present, even if it's not always visible or, recognized.
Yeah.
And Mashiach ben Yosef's mission is also about sustenance, just like Joseph provided physical sustenance, during the famine.
Right.
Mashiach ben Yosef sustains Israel spiritually during their exile.
So there's this practical, almost hands-on aspect to it.
Right.
It's not just this, lofty, mystical idea.
No, not at all. The Vilna Gaon and his students, particularly in the work Kol HaTor, they outline 3 key actions that are associated with Mashiach ben Yosef.
Okay.
And these actions are very grounded, very much about engaging with the physical world.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me about these 3 actions.
All right, so the first is rebuilding the land of Israel.
Yeah.
The second is gathering the Jewish exiles from around the world.
Right.
And the third is confronting the spiritual forces of what's called Edom.
Wow. Each one of those sounds pretty monumental. I mean, rebuilding a land, gathering exiles, it feels like laying the groundwork for something really massive.
You're exactly right. It's about creating the conditions for a transformed world.
Yeah.
A world ready for that final stage of redemption that's often associated with Mashiach ben David.
So they're not rivals, but partners in this cosmic drama.
Precisely. The Vilna Gaon's teachings really emphasize that they're complementary forces.
Okay.
Each with their unique role working in tandem towards the same divine goal. And this is where the confrontation with Edom comes into play.
Okay, this Edom, it sounds a bit ominous.
Yeah.
Who or what are we talking about here?
Think of Edom as like the embodiment of exile and chaos, the spiritual forces that oppose unity and harmony. The Zohar, a central Kabbalistic text, describes it as this chaotic energy that needs to be overcome for divine order to be restored.
Wow, okay, so
Yeah.
if Mashiach ben Yosef is battling this Edom, is that like a literal war?
Oh.
Swords and chariots and all
No,
that?
not a physical war, thankfully. Okay.
Think of it more like a cosmic struggle.
Right.
A battle against these forces of chaos and disunity. Remember how Mashiach ben Yosef is connected to the Sephira of Yesod in Kabbalah?
Yeah. Right. You mentioned that earlier. Now, for those of us who aren't Kabbalah experts, could you unpack that a little?
Sure. Kabbalah is a mystical tradition within Judaism, and the Sephira are like emanations of divine energy, each with its own unique quality.
Okay.
Yesod is often translated as foundation,
Okay.
and it's the Sephira that bridges the spiritual realms with the physical world.
So is it like a bridge between heaven and earth?
Exactly. It's the conduit through which spiritual energy flows into our reality. And Mashiach ben Yosef, aligned with Yesod, is about grounding those spiritual forces, making them manifest in the physical world through action.
So he's not just meditating on a mountaintop waiting for enlightenment to strike. He's down here getting his hands dirty, making change happen.
That's a great way to put it. It's about taking those lofty ideals of redemption and translating them into tangible actions.
Remember, one of those actions is rebuilding the land of Israel.
Right.
A very concrete physical endeavor. It's about building a foundation, a space where those spiritual energies can take root and flourish.
This is making me think about the gathering of exiles.
Yeah.
You said it's not just about physical relocation, right?
It's so much deeper than that. Think about it. We all have parts of ourselves that feel lost, disconnected, exiled from our true nature.
Oh.
Gathering the exiles can also be seen as an inner process of reclaiming those lost parts, bringing them back into the fold, integrating them into a whole and healthy self.
Wow, I've never thought of it that way before.
Yeah.
So it's like a spiritual homecoming, a process of bringing ourselves back together.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's about healing those internal divisions within ourselves, within our families, within our communities, creating unity where there was once fragmentation.
And this ties into the idea of confronting Edom, right? If Edom represents chaos and negativity, then confronting it must be about facing those inner demons, those negative patterns that hold us back.
Exactly. We all have those voices inside that whisper. Doubts feed our fears and keep us playing small.
Right.
Confronting Edom on a personal level means standing up to those voices. It's about reclaiming our power, our strength, our courage. It's about saying yes to life, yes to our dreams, yes to our true selves.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the mystical language and symbolism, but when you break it down like this,
Right.
it becomes so incredibly relevant to our everyday lives.
And that's the beauty of these teachings. They're not just abstract ideas.
Yeah.
They're meant to be lived, embodied, expressed in our actions and choices.
Okay, this is a lot to take in, but I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we move on?
There's always more to explore, but for now, let's pause and let the listener absorb all of this.
Okay. Yeah, I think we all need a moment to kind of digest that.
Right.
This whole conversation about Mashiach ben Yosef, it's really eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these ancient teachings
Right.
can feel so relevant to our lives today.
It's like we're uncovering these hidden layers of meaning,
Yeah.
connecting these ancient stories and concepts
Right.
to our modern experiences.
Totally. And it makes me think about the personal lessons we can learn from Joseph. You know,
Yeah.
we talked about his unwavering faith, his resilience,
Yeah.
his ability to forgive.
Right.
Is there anything else his story can teach us about embodying the qualities of Mashiach ben Yosef?
Well, Joseph's story is full of valuable insights.
Right.
Think about his commitment to family, even after everything he went through.
Right.
That sense of responsibility, of loyalty.
Yeah.
It's a powerful model for how we can show up in our own relationships
Right.
and communities.
And he managed to stay connected to his roots. You know,
Right.
even when he was in that position of power in Egypt,
Yeah.
it would have been so easy to just lose himself, in that world.
Totally. It's a reminder that no matter where life takes us, we can always choose to stay connected to our core values, our heritage, our spiritual source.
It's like he embodies that bridge between worlds that we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
balancing the physical and the spiritual, never losing sight of his higher purpose.
You're hitting on something really profound there.
Mm.
And it circles back to this idea that we all have a role to play in this unfolding messianic vision.
Right.
We might not be Joseph,
Sure.
but we can cultivate those Joseph-like qualities
Right, yeah.
within ourselves.
So it's not about waiting for some, external savior to come swoop in and fix everything.
Right.
It's about recognizing the power we have within ourselves to make a difference,
Absolutely.
to contribute to healing the world.
Exactly. And it doesn't require these grand gestures or heroic feats.
Yeah.
It's about the everyday choices we make,
Yeah.
the way we treat others, the way we show up in the world,
Right.
every act of kindness, every genuine connection we make,
Yeah.
every effort to bring more light and love into our surroundings, all of it weaves into this tapestry of redemption.
I'm feeling so inspired by this conversation.
Yeah.
It's like we've been given a roadmap, a set of tools for how to live a more meaningful, purposeful life.
And the journey is always unfolding.
Right.
There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to discover about ourselves and our role in this grand cosmic dance.
Well, listeners, that wraps up our deep dive into the mysteries of Mashiach ben Yosef.
Yeah.
We explored his connection to the story of Joseph, his role as a bridge between worlds, his mission of rebuilding and gathering.
Right.
But most importantly, we looked at what we can learn from his legacy, for our own lives.
Yeah. And as we conclude, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
If Mashiach ben Yosef represents building a foundation for a better world, what kind of foundation are you building in your own life? What are the values, the actions, the choices you're making
Right.
to create that solid bedrock for your own journey?
That's a powerful question to reflect on.
Yeah.
We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity
Yeah.
and inspired you to see the potential for personal transformation
Absolutely.
and its connection to the well-being of the world.
Until next time, may your journey be filled with purpose and meaning and
Right.
a deep belief in your own power to make a difference. Yeah.
We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity
Yeah.
and inspired you to see the potential for personal transformation
Absolutely.
and its connection to the well-being of the world.
Until next time, may your journey be filled with purpose and meaning and a deep belief in your own power to make a difference.